This is New Jersey Attorney General Matt Platkin. Now, one day at the very beginning of his career, he put one of his hands on the Bible and raised his hand toward heaven and said, "I swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." And here he is, proud of himself and pleased as punch that he brought charges against and got a judicial judgment against a gun store owner who decided to use his freedom to sell 1,000 rounds of AR-15 ammo, unbeknownst to him, to undercover investigators. Here's what he says.
Hey everyone, I wanted to give you a major update in our common sense fight to end gun violence. A judge just sided with us in a case against Butch's Gun World, a violin-based gun retailer that sold gun products to people in our state without doing anything to confirm they could legally possess a firearm. This included selling 1,000 rounds of AR-15 ammo, the same kind of ammo used in mass shootings across this country, to someone who purchased with cash without so much as presenting an ID. These types of suits are the reason why we've had record low levels of gun violence for 3 years running, and we're not stopping here. We sued a Texas-based company for selling bump stocks in New Jersey. Bump stocks, which allow you to convert a semi-automatic weapon into a machine gun.
That's basically a piece of plastic. Matt is rejoicing that he brought a judgment against a store, owners of a store, that sold a piece of plastic, that sold bullets consistent with, hey, you have the right to keep and bear arms, including loaded arms, including ammunition. And nobody's got the right to infringe on your right. It says shall not be infringed. You have this right whether we have a Second Amendment or not. Matt swore to uphold this right. And now because of gun violence, under the cover of gun violence, which is a misnomer, and I'll get to that in a second, under the cover of gun violence, he's taking joy in the fact that he took those rights away and he used the power of the state, the gun violence of the state, to come against people who wanted to conduct a private business transaction between consenting adults.
Unlawfully. We sued the federal government for attempting to distribute machine guns back into our state. And we're not going to stop until we've eliminated the epidemic of gun violence in our state and kept you safe.
It's not gun violence. What he's actually supporting is government gun violence, because that's how they back their laws. Hey, we got a judgment against you, and we're going to enforce this judgment against you. Oh, how are you going to enforce this judgment against us? We're going to use government-sanctioned, government-funded, tax cattle-funded gun violence to come against you. Gun violence is a misnomer. Guns are, and we've talked about this a lot on many of my channels in the past, guns are inanimate objects. They don't commit violence against anybody. That'd be like saying hammer violence or baseball bat violence or knife violence. None of these inanimate objects cause violence. It's corrupt people doing evil things to other people that cause the violence. They just use these tools. They use the ammunition. They use the gun. They use the knife. They use the baseball bat. They use rocks. Can you imagine calling it rock violence? Everybody would look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? There's no such thing as rock violence. So Matt here, the Attorney General for New Jersey, cares nothing about the Second Amendment. Therefore, he cares nothing about your rights. And people who care nothing about your rights are your enemy. I wanted to show you this because James O'Keefe just reposted a post by Dan Bongino. I'm going to read the Bongino post first. And it's pretty interesting in light of the fact that neither Bongino nor Cash Patel did anything about Jeffrey Epstein in the files, but they're going to tell us right here that they saw some horrendous things that shocked them to the core, and you're going to find out about it sooner or later. He says, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. Believe me, they're happening. Dan Bongino has already showed himself to be a turncoat, to be a traitor to the truth, and to be somebody that can be trusted, cannot be trusted. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It's all going on right now under ICE with Kristi Noem and the Department of Homeland Security. It's been going on for decades and still goes on with the FBI and the ATF and the CIA. It has been used as a political weapon. NSA, TSA, They use it as a political weapon against Americans to take away our unalienable rights that they're supposed to be protecting. So they say that they're committed to stamping out the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigations into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to the core. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book and in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at the truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her respectfully. James O'Keefe replied, "We have a right to know what it is that shocks Dan Bongino to his core. Many people probably can't handle that truth, but at this point, more harm would come from not having it." I really think that the first post under Dan Bongino's post is interesting. This person says, "Hey Grok, is Trump corrupt?" Says, "Based on extensive evidence from 2025 sources, including DOJ changes, weakening anti-corruption units, family profiting from crypto and foreign deals, and executive orders halting FCPA enforcement, yes, Trump has engaged in corrupt practices like self-dealing and abusing power for personal gain. These are substantiated by Reuters, New York Times, and Brookings Report, despite his denials." Cenk Uygur says, "Okay, but you said earlier there was nothing to see, so which one is it? Nothing to see at all, or things that would shock you to your core? Most important part of this message is Bongino mentioning the intelligence agencies. They don't report to the FBI, so that is very telling." Luke Rudowski says, "Arrests when? It's arrest o'clock, Dan. Let's go." Nobody's believing him. Patriotic musings aren't enough anymore, Dan. People want to know the truth. And probably my favorite, explain why you told the American people Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide and were releasing a video to prove it that ended up being edited, missing minutes, and definitively inconclusive.
Jeffrey Epstein's story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on it. Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it.
Newly sworn-in FBI Director Kash Patel named popular podcaster Dan Bongino as a deputy director of the agency.
Yeah, nobody seems to want to talk about it, including Dan Bongino. He's just going to tell you, hey, it's shaking me to my core. Dr. Gene Ruby says, at a time such as this, when the government and every agency has been exposed for pus-oozing corruption, the last thing we're going to swallow is more of your trust the plan BS. Respectfully, we the people. I would say disrespectfully. 5 Times August says, the truth is Epstein didn't off himself. And more people are calling Dan out for his flop on the Epstein files. Truly, the hammer of justice has arrived. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. And don't forget, freedom is dangerous. It's scary. It's unpredictable. The thing more dangerous, scary, and unpredictable is not having freedom. And the federal government is doing its best to try to take those freedoms away. I will see you in the next video.